Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Mansing. Topping our newscast, earlier this afternoon, residents are shocked. They say police said approximately 12:26 p.m. a shooting incident ensued on the campus of Joseph Gomez Elementary School between two suspects who crossed paths on that campus. Here is more from the VIPD.
450 students were on campus at the time of the incident, attending summer programs ran by the VIPD, STEM, and the Department of Education. There were no injuries reported, and all students are accounted for and safe, as the school immediately placed them on active shooter lockdown mode during the incident. After officers conducted routine investigations of the premises and felt the campus was safe, the students were then given permission to return to their respective classrooms at roughly 2:30 p.m. Parents were immediately notified and given the option to retrieve their children due to the nature of the incident. Camp will resume as scheduled tomorrow, Wednesday. This case is presently under investigations by the Criminal Investigations Bureau. Anyone having information regarding this incident may contact the Investigations Bureau at 340-774-2211. You can call 911 or Crime Stoppers 1-800-222-TIPS.
Senator Kenneth Gittens, meanwhile, issued a response. He urges being proactive to protect school children and said he's upset because he knows that funding for perimeter fencing around Gomez School is in place.
I have been looking at the vulnerability of that campus and have made calls and held discussions with the Department of Education and other government officials to put the fencing in place to protect our children, faculty, and staff on that particular school campus. Around here, it seems as though we have become too complacent, thinking that the worst cannot happen to us. We sit and wait until the inevitable occurs. This should not be.
Counting two to keep you updated. Well, in other news, last week we reported on the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. This time it's the Democrats' turn, and the Virgin Islands has a full complement of delegates. Some of them share with us what it looks like on the ground and the things they're trying to accomplish this week. News 2's April Knight has that.
The Democratic National Convention is in full swing, and the Virgin Islands delegates are pumped up for their big night on Tuesday.
We're going into this day, Tuesday, to the roll call of all the states and the territories.
There's a lot of tension between Hillary and Bernie supporters, something that Delegate Jeanette Millen-Young said she witnessed in her role as a member of the Credentials Committee.
There was a lot of back and forth, a little tension in the room, but in the end, we were able to sit all the delegations. Maine and Vermont were the testier ones, but we were able to sit everyone on one accord.
The Virgin Islands delegation itself is composed of 12 delegates, and while some of them were uncommitted during their territorial convention in early June, Superdelegate Stacey Plaskett said that's no longer the case.
The Virgin Islands, of course, is the only delegation that is 100% for Hillary Clinton at this convention. And we're going to be bringing that to the floor.
The delegation will give its nomination speech tonight, where they plan to put forth VI-relevant concerns.
Our centennial coming up, and of course the right for Virgin Islanders to have the vote for president.
But in spite of unity issues that set the Democratic Convention off to a rocky start, VI delegates said they have one goal.
Of course, the First Lady, Michelle Obama, really drove it home, the need for Hillary Clinton to be the next president. Not only talking about her humanity and her public service throughout her life, but also the trust that we can have in her for our children's future, as opposed to the Republican candidate Donald Trump.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, we will have the details on the VI delegation's nomination speech in a later newscast. But tonight at the Democratic National Convention, Hillary Clinton is expected to officially be the first woman ever nominated by a major political party as its presidential candidate. Chris Welch is in Philadelphia with the latest.
When the DNC kicked off Monday night, all calls were for unity.
Today is our day to begin to unify.
We are always stronger together.
This election must be about bringing our people together, not dividing us up.
But as of this morning, some Sanders supporters were still not convinced and still angry over the DNC email scandal.
Listening to his remarks last night, I couldn't stop crying, and it It was a feeling of a moment in history past that I may not see again in my lifetime.
Some California delegates booing as Sanders said they must work to elect Hillary Clinton.
It is easy to boo, but it is harder to look your kids in the face who would be living under a Donald Trump presidency.
During a practice run for his speech later in the week, Vice President Joe Biden today said to give them time, and he expects the frustrated delegates to come around.
They're going to be fine. Look, they worked hard. We had to show a little class and let them be frustrated for a while. It's okay.
In Philadelphia, I'm Chris Welch.
Meanwhile, back at home, the Virgin Islands Democratic Party is on its way to finalizing its nominees for the 2016 general elections. The primary voting process officially started Tuesday. Election board officials, though, want to make sure the candidates are aware of changes that are either already being imposed or in the works for the 2018 elections. NEWS2's April Knight has more.
Voters trickled into election system offices on Tuesday, eager to cast the first ballots of the 2016 primaries. Election system officials were on hand to assist and direct voters on where to fill in and tabulate their ballots. Joint Election Board Chairman Arturo Watlington, who is himself running for re-election, is staying away from the election office to prevent perceptions of electioneering. He also said that this year they're strictly imposing a wider radius of campaign-free zones around polling places.
This year, the legislature, the Virgin Islands, passed a law that virtually prohibits electioneering 200 feet from the perimeter of the polling place.
That means sidewalks outside of polling places, most of them schools on all three islands, will be off limits to campaign workers.
That's going to be a very big change for this primary election as well as November election.
The Joint Election Board is planning to meet with candidates next week to make sure that they and their campaigns are aware of the change. According to Watlington, he hopes this is the final year that the election system will be organizing and spending for party officer elections, which he believes is the responsibility of the political parties.
That's something that the board didn't want to do. We were taking to court, and the court said what we should. So we are hopefully this will be the last time we'll be using taxpayers' money to conduct up election for the Democratic Party, Republican Party, or the ICM Party, any party with taxpayers' money.
Reporting for NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
Now remember, between Tuesday and Sunday, if you're a registered Democrat, you can go to the election offices on all three islands to cast an early vote in the primaries. After that, your final chance is on primary day, August 6th. Senate budget hearings continued on St. Thomas on Tuesday. The Virgin Islands Energy Office is asking for $1.28 million for fiscal year 2017. The Office of the Lieutenant Governor seeks some $19 million for fiscal year 2017. During that hearing, many departments under the Lieutenant Governor's office were scrutinized by senators. VI tax assessor Ira Mills, whose office is under the Lieutenant Governor's office, stressed to lawmakers how proposed upgrades in the tax assessor's office, especially to online payments, can benefit collections. Here's what's happening around the world. Turn our attention back overseas. Japan is reeling after one of the worst mass killings. At least 19 people at a center which cares for the disabled have been stabbed to death. Dozens more have been wounded. The attacker struck in the early hours of Tuesday morning when most would have been asleep at the facility in Sagamihara, about 40 kilometers west of Tokyo. 9 men and 10 women, ranging in age from 18 to 70, were killed in that attack. Satoshi Iumatsu, a 26-year-old who worked at the facility until February, broke in through a window about 2 a.m. About 3 a.m., he turned himself in at the Sagamihara police station carrying a blood-stained knife and cloth. Officials said he had been working there since 2012, and they're not sure why. A deadly club shooting Monday in Fort Myers, Florida, left 2 dead. 18-year-old Stefan Strada and 14-year-old Sean Arquilles were killed when a gunman opened fire on teen night. 18 others were wounded. Stefan would have been a senior at Lehigh Senior High School where he played basketball. His younger sister was also at the event and was shot in the leg. Sean Arquils would have been an 8th grader at Royal Palm Exceptional Center. His family described him as a talented, caring young man who often helped teach his Haitian family English. 3 people are in custody for the alleged involvement in the shooting. Keeping our eye on the economy, employers want healthier employees, and as a result, workplace wellness programs are hot. Now, according to a study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, now more than 80% of big companies are now offering some form of financial incentive to get their workers to participate. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu is a hit, but it didn't draw as many customers as hoped over the last 3 months. The fast food chain's U.S. sales grew just 1.8% in the last quarter, and that's about half of what analysts expected. Here's a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see the Dow down at 19, NASDAQ and S&P up. Coming up on News 2, tiny house, small island, and big dreams, and a couple who made it happen. What is this feature all about? We'll tell you. It's coming up next. Welcome back. Did you catch HGTV's Tiny House Big Living episode last night? If you did, you know it featured a house in Coral Bay, St. John, and you would have recognized Chef Sean Bryan. Now, as a graduate of Johnson & Wales, his culinary career led him to be named Top 30 Under 30 by Zagat. He worked at many famed locations around the world, and he returned home for his adventure in 2014 as owner of the Ocean 362 restaurant, and he was featured last night. Here's more.
Project took about 6 months.
Season 3, Episode 14 of Tiny House Big Living featured some familiar sights and faces.
We participated in HGTV Tiny House Big Living because we wanted to showcase the ability that you can build a house and get out of rental at a young age or at any age, and we also potentially want to help people do the same thing around the community in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
As viewers followed a young couple who built their dream tiny island home.
We didn't have a lot of help for this show in terms of assistance. It was really my family and a few of my close friends, and I'm lucky enough to have been raised in Coral Bay building homes my whole life.
Sean and Allie's busy work schedules were perfectly suited for the low-maintenance lifestyle of tiny living.
There really weren't any rules besides the fact that you had to stay inside of a certain square footage.
At 350 square feet with no height restrictions, they have a spacious master bedroom loft, a fancy gourmet kitchen, an outdoor shower under the stars, and a deck with spectacular views.
So the overall experience was kind of stressful in terms of like having all these deadlines to meet and working with a film crew. And at the same time, the good side of it was that it kept us on a timeline.
Many residents tuned in to see the show and the final project on HGTV on Monday night.
Wow, the show, right off the bat, I was much more pleased with it than I thought it would be. I hate hearing myself usually, but I mean, my wife, my stepdad, my mom, I mean, these people are the light of my life, and really to see them on camera with me and with Ross, my little dog, it was amazing. I was really happy with it, and really, really happy with the light that it showed St. John in particular, but the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Congrats to you, Chef. Now, in Tiny House Big Living, couples learn what it really means to downsize when they take the plunge into the tiny house real estate market. At an average size of only 180 square feet, you can watch as clients meet with their builders or decide to build these tiny homes all by themselves and follow along through the construction process until the house is complete. Now, that show aired last night and re-aired today. However, you can go online at hgtv.com to see the show if you missed it, and the couple was casted during a screening process. Virgin Islands Port Authority's Executive Director Carlton Dow alerts the public that the Port Authority is conducting a cleanup of its properties in the Crown Bay area on St. Thomas. All abandoned equipment or vehicles illegally stored on the Port Authority's property should be removed by August 25th. Any equipment or vehicles left on Vipa's property will be tagged for removal and discarded at the Bavoni landfill. If the vehicles are not claimed, they will eventually be turned into scrap metals. Dow urges the owners of any items stored in Crown Bay without permission to immediately remove them. Well, the Department of Human Services held their first Employment and Training Service Career Fair at Sugar State Head Start Center on Tuesday. Here's more from that event.
Today, the Department of Human Services is hosting its first annual Employment and Training Program Career Fair. Today, we had an approximate number of about 95 individuals who attended. And again, these are individuals who are currently receiving SNAP and who are seeking to enhance their skills and get employment and get off the SNAP program.
The Department of Human Services was awarded a grant of $425,000 to provide education and vocational training for our clients. So we are hosting this fair to invite all our clients to come and hear information from various community partners so that they can be able to participate in the programs. In St. Thomas, they can contact Miss Pauline Dawes, 774-0930, extension 4364. You can contact myself, Natalie Bailey, in St. Croix at 772-7101.
The VI Department of Health reports 9 new cases of Zika in the territory. According to the weekly surveillance report, the total number of confirmed positive cases in the territory is now 65. 19 cases on St. Croix, 45 on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. Out of 830 tests completed for pregnant women, 10 have laboratory evidence of Zika, 7 are presumptive positive, and 3 are confirmed. There is no change to the number of dengue cases. Be sure to tune in on Wednesday on NEWS2 for prevention tips, as well as more on the forums underway for pregnant women. Meanwhile, the Department of Health has money to distribute to various organizations in order to create substance abuse relief and awareness prevention programs. The department will be holding a second round of interest meetings to explain the eligibility and application process. Now, one was held on St. Croix today. The next one will be held on St. Thomas Thursday, July 28th at Schneider Hospital, second floor, conference room from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. 11 registered nurses from Louis Hospital will now be able to conduct sexual assault examinations for victims of rape. The One of Louis nurses, along with nurses from Schneider Regional Medical Center and other healthcare providers, they completed a 40-hour sexual assault nurse examiner sexual assault response team certification training on St. Croix and St. Thomas last week. Representatives from DVSAC, Women's Coalition, VIPD, BOC, Virgin Islands National Guard, and UVI also participated in that training. The St. Start certification training that began on Monday, July 18th. Dr. Linda Ledry, who is the founder and director of the Resource Service in Minneapolis, Minnesota, conducted the week-long training for about 45 total participants. Here's a perfect way to kickstart a workout routine. Mark this on your calendar. The Education Institute at One of Louis Hospital, they will be hosting a free 2-hour exercise-a-thon for the public to celebrate the completion of its wellness program. That's Thursday, August 11th at 5:30 p.m. One of Louis' Education Department hosted a Changing Lives Through Exercise and Nutrition wellness program for its employees and their families, and that began in April and ended this month. The community now is invited to bring a family member or friend and participate in the Zumba, Soca aerobics, karate, and CrossFit sessions. There will be certified trainers on site and healthy refreshments. Virgin Islands Department of Education's State Office of Special Education has announced dates for public presentations of its 7th annual Parental Satisfaction Survey. Wednesday, July 27th, on St. Thomas, presentation will be held at the SBDC Training Room in Niski Center. Thursday, July 28th on St. Croix. It will be held at the Northwest Wing, rooms 102 and 103 at UVI on St. Croix. Meetings will take place from 6 to 8 p.m. They are free and open to the public. Parents and guardians of children receiving special education and related services, the VI Advisory Panel on Special Education members, and other interested persons are encouraged to attend. The objective of that survey was to collect and accurately report trend data. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.